Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. It happens every time. Baker Mayfield has a bad game, and everybody thinks he ought to be placed at the bottom of that list of former quarterbacks on the popular selling T-shirt. Let's fess up. With his third coach in 3 years, you don't know and I don't know if he's going to turn out good or not. What I do know is that he faced Pittsburgh, who, if I had to make a choice right now, might very well get to the Super Bowl. And he had to do it without Nick Chubb, one of the top three running backs in the league. And oh yeah, he was hurt, and maybe he shouldn't have even played on Sunday. If he wins 9 games this year, will you be happy? Will that change your mind? All right, I'll guarantee 9 wins at least for Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. Mary Kay Cabot is here. More sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 25th consecutive year. And, of course, we are powered now by cleveland.com. Mary Kay Cabot is here. That means it's Tuesday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whatever. Whatever
Good
time
evening,
zone we're in.
That's great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Very good, thank you.
I'm doing better than Baker Mayfield. I might be the only
Yeah,
guy
well,
left on his side. I may still be the only guy left on his side here.
no, I think there are a lot of people that are still on his side. I have my doubts about what they need to do going forward. I think there's a lot of red flags that have gone up with Baker Mayfield, and I think they're pretty serious red flags. This was a pivotal year for him. He needed to really step up and show that he could at least hang with the teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh. He needed to really do some good things, perhaps on third down in the fourth quarter, and he's not doing well in those areas at all. And I just think you need way more out of your number one overall pick if you want to go where this team wants to go.
All right, so you threw out the flag there. You said red flags. What red flags, other than, and you went on to describe what he's doing wrong or what's happening. Is there anything specific you can see that is changeable?
Well, I don't know how changeable it is. Hopefully, it is changeable. But he just is struggling to operate from within the pocket. And if teams can kind of hem him in a little bit and try to force him and make him one-dimensional and operate out of that pocket, then he struggles in there. And they're going to have to find a way to help him not struggle so much in the pocket. And I don't know if that's fixable or if it's not. Maybe it is. But these are some of the issues. I mean, if you look at the numbers, as I mentioned before, third down, fourth quarter, that's when you need your quarterback to come through for you. That's when you need to be money. That's when you need to thrive and flourish and have him step up and make big plays. And he's not doing that.
Okay, he's not doing. We all admit he's not doing that, even though I haven't given up yet. But what I saw last week was a culmination of the third coach that he's had since he's been here. He was injured. I think clearly that affected him, even though he wasn't limping or holding his side or anything. I think clearly that's a tough injury for a quarterback to have. And he didn't have Nick Chubb. So what's he to do here? Again, and he's at the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they're back, by the way, in case you didn't notice that.
Yes, they definitely are. The Nick Chubb issue is one that's interesting. Most teams would just be happy to have Kareem Hunt. But the reason why the Browns need such a big, effective 1-2 punch and why they do miss Nick Chubb so much is because their passing game is not cutting it. They've got a trio of Pro Bowlers at the skill positions in Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper. And the quarterback has not been able to match up to their level of play. And therefore, you do need a Nick Chubb and a Kareem Hunt to try to cover up for some of the deficiencies of the passing game right now. It shouldn't be that way. They've got an amazing offensive line in front of Baker Mayfield. They've got a quarterback-friendly scheme. And again, they've got really, really good skill players. And the passing game should not be as poor as it is right now.
Okay, so Chubb isn't coming back for a couple of more weeks, probably probably will sit out after the bye week also, but we'll wait and see how he feels by that time. And so you don't have Chubb. You almost on a week-to-week basis, you don't have OBJ either. I mean, he didn't work out. He missed much of practice in the past week. He played, but he wasn't effective at all. So, I mean, what are you supposed to do here?
Well, that's not Odell's fault that he didn't get the ball, that he didn't get targeted, that that the Browns couldn't stay necessarily on the field on third down. And again, as far as Nick Chubb is concerned, he's a terrific runner. He's a great runner. And they do miss him to a degree. But remember, they just played two of the best run defenses in the NFL. The Steelers are amazing. They're the number 2 run defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're the number 1 run defense by the end of the season. They're really, really good. And so I don't know that Nick Chubb would have been able to make a whole lot more hay than Kareem Hunt did in that game. I think the issue on this football team right now is that the quarterback is struggling against really good defenses. Now, he's going to look good against Cincinnati if they don't have a good defense. He's going to look good against other football teams coming up that are, just the below average and losing teams. They have 6 more games left on the schedule where these teams have 1 victory or no victories. So they're going to win some games. I still think that they're on track to make the playoffs. I really do. I think they're on track to win 9 or 10 games still this season. But it doesn't make up for the fact that they do have some issues that have to be addressed at the quarterback position.
What's the locker room like now? Is everybody still backing him?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you. I wish I could tell you what the locker room was like, but we don't go in the locker room this year.
Right.
And it's really hard to get a pulse of the football team when we don't have that kind of access. It's different. We're doing the best we can covering the team on Zoom calls where they choose who we get to talk to. And it's not like it was in the past. I mean, you could walk around the locker room and have conversations and find out what people really think. Right now, you have to find out things in other ways. But, when I see Odell Beckham Jr. over there throwing a tantrum in the 4th quarter because he wants to win so badly, I have to think that there is some frustration, and that maybe perhaps, and I don't know this for a fact, that maybe some of that frustration comes from the fact that you've got sort of an all-star cast and a quarterback that's still coming up the learning curve.
216-575-0403 is the number to call if you want to talk to Mary Kay Cabot. You can also email us during the show, and that's at reallesslevine@gmail.com. All right, so this week you got Cincinnati. Still don't know much about them. Of course, Joe Burrow is there. And as long as that offensive line lets them get hit, that's a weakness for them, no question about that. But do you think Baker or whoever it's going to, do you think that when they took him out that it was anything other than the injury? Do you think that was a kind of a message to get to? Or, I mean, they weren't coming back in that game.
No, they weren't coming back in that game, and they had a perfect built-in excuse that it was just all about the injury. But, I mean, it was more than that. I mean, he was completely 100% ineffective in that game, and he had already thrown 2 interceptions. So, yeah, I mean, it was mostly about the injury to spare him from getting hit. But I think that, and he was holding onto the ball too long. That's part of it.
There's a stat out there today that he's thrown 3 interceptions or more times than he's thrown no interceptions.
Yeah, that's a bad stat. There's a lot of interception stats that just, that you just don't like to see. He has 16 in his last 12 games. He's got 4 in his last 2. And here's the thing, they're trying to make up for some of his deficiencies right now by scheming around and running the ball and getting takeaways and doing all these kind of things. But then you just can't be throwing interceptions. You have to be able to just at least manage the game and not mess up with bad mistakes.
Yeah, and they're not deflected balls. They're not Hail Marys at the end of the half. These are real interceptions, which is not good.
Yes, they have been legit interceptions. Minka Fitzpatrick, he just didn't see, the robber, lurker, safety coming down there. The next one, it was sort of a desperation heave, but you either have to throw that pinpoint to Richard or you got to get it out of bounds. You can't throw it up there into traffic and think that that's going to have a happy ending. And, then you start to lose your confidence a little bit. And maybe there is some of that, but you cannot hold the ball for 3.3 seconds. He's last in the NFL, I think, with holding on to the ball too long.
Oh, all right. 216-575-0403. We'll open up the lines if you want to talk to Mary Kay about anything. Facebook.com is the place to go to find us. More sports and less Levine. New content posted each and every day. We post the question in the morning. You can answer it and respond all day long, and then we'll read it on the air that night on More Sports and Less Levine. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment with Mary Kay Cabot. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Hi, welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine. Mary Kay, Baker Mayfield had a performance to forget on Sunday, and now much of the national media is jumping at the opportunity to criticize him. Stephen A. Smith said, "I've given up. I think Cleveland should give up. I think the Browns should give up. And I think the city should give up. Odell Beckham Jr. needs to get out of Cleveland. As far as I'm concerned, Jarvis Landry should demand a trade out of Cleveland. Anybody who has a pass catcher should not want to play with this guy because he's not going to make you look good. Look at the body language of the Cleveland Browns receivers. They look despondent. They didn't even want to stand near him. That's how bad it is for Baker Mayfield right now." So, have you guys noticed that on the sidelines? Is it really as bad as Stephen A. Smith is making it seem, or is he just kind of talking it up a little?
Well, when I looked through my binoculars at the sideline, things that you can't see on TV when you're actually at the game, Baker did look like he was standing by himself a lot. Once he was taken out of the game, I thought that was kind of telling. But, sometimes in a situation like that, you just kind of want to let a quarterback be a little bit alone, with his thoughts, and you don't want to bother him. So I don't know if it was necessarily that. But I will say that, yeah, when you're completing only 10 passes a game, your Pro Bowl skill players are going to start to get frustrated. They're really going to start to get frustrated. And if it doesn't get better, we will start to hear some things.
You see it with the binoculars and all. We only see what they want to show us on TV. I don't think I've seen Case Keenum on the sideline at all, either talking to Baker Mayfield between series. I don't know if that's a design by the coaching staff or if it's a design by the particular players, but I haven't seen him on the sideline.
I do see them on the sidelines together, sometimes going over some of the, the tape on surface and looking at things and things like that. So, there is some of that going on, but yeah, it was a difficult situation for Baker to get pulled out of that game. He did not want to come out. I mean, he wanted to play. He felt fine to play. He tried to understand Kevin Stefanski's rationale, but for the most part, he wanted, and all quarterbacks do really, but he wanted to finish out the game, and he wasn't ready to cry uncle.
Well, that's a possession kind of a thing, isn't it? He knew he couldn't win the game. They were so far back, but he doesn't want to be made light of in front of his teammates, I would assume, or he still wants to show how tough he is. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. Sometimes you got to stay in there or get out of there so you don't get hurt anymore, because that kind of injury can stick with you all season long.
Yes, it can. And the other thing is, there's also you don't want to get Wally pipped either, right?
Right.
You don't want Case Keenum, who can operate this offense pretty efficiently, to go in there and look a lot better, get rid of the ball quicker, and actually make some inroads against that really, really tough Steelers defense. You don't want to take the risk of that happening either. So, but by that time, when you're that far behind, that's not the kind of situation for a quarterback really to come in there and look all that good. I mean, these guys can kind of just tee off on you and do whatever they want, because they know you have to pass your way back into the football game, and they knew that Baker wasn't going to be able to do that. So,
right.
So
it
just kind of went downhill.
The technology that I have in front of me just said 500 people said, "Who's Wally Pipp?" Well, it's still baseball season for 7 more days, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Mary Kay
You
Cabot.
can explain that one.
Mary Kay Cabot is with us, as she is on every Tuesday night. All right, so how do you get this back? Do you get it back by doing something this week in practice, or do you do it by waiting till the whistle blows and you play and you show them you're ready to play the game? I would assume you'd have to work it out in practice, but I've never been an NFL quarterback.
Well, it was a stressful week last week to have to go into the Steelers game with Baker Mayfield not throwing the ball at all on Wednesday, with Jarvis Landry missing Wednesday and Thursday and not practicing until Friday, and then Odell Beckham Jr. missing Thursday and Friday. So they did not have any continuity in practice, but they said that they worked hard to kind of make up for some of that. They stayed extra afterwards and things like that. And look, I mean, the Titans didn't get a chance to practice together at all, and they went out and they won a ball game after not practicing. So they can't really use that as an excuse.
Oh, well, they're better too. Titans are better also. But all those things you just listed, though, if that doesn't call for a mulligan, I don't know what does.
Well, again, we have to see what Baker is going to be capable of going forward here. I think the fact that they have some easier defenses coming up, I mean, he usually plays very well against the Bengals, and the Bengals defense is struggling. I mean, the Colts came back from a 21-point deficit and beat the Bengals last week. So this is a defense that has its problems and has its issues. So even though, we're going to all be writing and saying things and talking like the way I'm talking right now, Baker could go out and look really good against the Bengals. He usually does look good against the Cincinnati Bengals. Some of his best games have come against the Bengals, but they've also had horrible defenses.
All right, so previously tonight you said that Nick Chubb might not have made a difference if he was healthy in that particular game against Pittsburgh. How much will they miss him this week, or is things okay without him?
I think they'll miss him against defenses that aren't going to stonewall you the way that the Steelers would have. Maybe he would have made a difference, somewhat of a difference against the Steelers, but they were committed to stopping that run, and they were so good at it that it just might have been one of those days where neither guy was going to be able to make many yards. But going forward, they're going to face some way lesser defenses, and I think that that they should be okay. I mean, Kareem Hunt is a great runner in his own right. Dearness Johnson can come in there and make some yards. And as long as you're not going up against the number 1 and number 2 run defenses in the NFL, they should be all right.
Let's see if we can see those stats again, talking about with and without Chubb, and see what Baker Mayfield is having to deal with. There you go, 4 games with him and 2 games without him. 204 yards per game on the ground, and 99 in the 2 without him. Yards per attempt, almost 6, and 3.6 without Chubb, and 8 touchdowns on the ground with him, and nothing without him. So I don't know if that's too short a sample size or if that really means anything.
I think it means they played the number 1 and number 2
Yeah.
run defenses in the NFL more so than anything. I'm not going to say that they don't miss Nick Chubb, but there was a great disparity in the defenses that they were playing before and the defenses that they just had to face without him.
Right.
So I think we'll have a more accurate picture as we go forward over the next 6 games and see how that plays out.
Any word on some of the injured players, if they're going to be able to come back, some that missed the game or 2?
You know what? I don't really know for sure. We find out more on Wednesdays. When you get out there on Wednesday and you see who's over there on the bike and you see who's practicing or not practicing, that's when you have a pretty good idea of who might end up playing in the game. It doesn't always mean that the Wednesday bike guys aren't going to play, but it's a good sign if they can come back on Wednesday and start practicing and getting the install.
You know, some linebackers are known as Mike linebackers. We have a lot of bike linebackers. You can use that if you want.
That's a good one.
Hey.
I like it. I will.
Thank you very much. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations in addition to the website. You want to check them out. You're going to pay half price, at least half price on almost every item in the store. And of course, West 140th Street near the airport, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. And the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone!
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Hi, welcome back to more Sports and Les Levine. Well, once again, David Njoku is reportedly seeking a trade. ESPN last week actually outlined a possible trade that the Browns can explore involving David Njoku. Here's what it is. They say that the Browns could trade David Njoku to the 49ers for safety Tarvarius Moore. They say the Browns desperately need help at safety, so much so that Cleveland fans have literally started a petition for the team to move on from Andrus and Dejo. The problem is that there aren't many safeties available on the trade market, and the Browns don't match up well with most of the teams who might have one available. Moore was a promising free safety prospect coming out of Southern Miss, but the 2018 third rounder hasn't been able to crack the 49ers lineup and has played only 7% of the defensive snaps in 2020. This is a relatively minor move, but both sides might benefit from looking at the other team's disappointing draftee. You look at Tarvarius Moore, he's a 24-year-old safety, third NFL season. He's got 54 tackles, 5 passes defended, and 1 fumble forced in 38 career games since entering the league. You look back at his career in Southern Miss, he had 59 tackles, 3 interceptions in his senior season that led Southern Miss in both categories. And one notable stat, he caused an interception in the Super Bowl last year against Patrick Mahomes. So my question is this: would you seek a trade for David Njoku? And if so, would that be an opportunity that you might be willing to explore if you're the Browns?
I'll understand there are no petitions being written out by Browns players to get rid of one of their defensive backs. Am I right on that, Mary Kay?
Yeah, not by Browns players, perhaps by Browns fans.
Maybe.
Certainly,
But we don't
yes.
really know of any of them. We can't say for
No.
sure that that's happened. All right, a guy like Njoku. First of all, we've heard this song and dance before. We heard it up to a couple of weeks ago, and supposedly he wanted to stay and not be moved. And then they won a game or two, and he wanted to hang in there. Is there anything to this, or is this an agent doing his talking, or what is it?
Well, first of all, this is my own report. This was my story
Right.
From yesterday, so I can actually speak to it. The deal is that that he would just like to go somewhere and play. And this is not a disgruntled situation. It's not a doghouse situation. The Browns like him. They really don't want to trade him, but he would just like to be somewhere where he's not really like second or third on the depth chart at tight end. The problem is there's not really necessarily a market right now. Now maybe a market will develop between now and the trade deadline on November 3rd. Maybe something will rear its head, but right now there's really nothing that seems to make a whole lot of sense. If it does happen, I think they would do something. So I think it's something that bears watching, but I can assure you that, I stand by the story the way that I wrote it.
Well, they're going to be halfway through the season in another week or so. And as you suggest, if some team needs him at this point or picks him up at this point, he's not going to get that much playing time or big play time, I wouldn't think, coming into a new team at that point. And it's not a guy who's a guy who's going to make the Pro Bowl team. So it seems like he's barking up the wrong tree. However, is there something out there? There was one example of a defensive back from San Francisco. Is there something out there that maybe might interest the Browns? Because I don't think you get more than a 4th, 5th round pick for him.
No, you wouldn't get much for him, and that's why I don't think that they will actually do anything, because they're not going to just give him away. I mean, he's a good tight end. They like him. He provides depth. It's just that he would like to go somewhere and be a number 1 tight end. He's a 1st round pick. He believes that he has starting ability, of course. They all do. And, he just wants to have a chance to go out there and display that. He had 1 catch in the last game, 1 catch in the previous game. And
that's only one more than you and I.
Yeah, exactly. But as we mentioned, a lot of these skill players are going to start getting frustrated here because they know that as of right now, the passes are just not going to be coming. And for these guys, even though the most important thing is winning football games, but there's also the element of they want to have nice careers too, and they want to go to Pro Bowls, and they want to get contracts. They want to get their next contract. They want to get their incentives and all those kind of things. So there's a team aspect to it, and then there's also an individual aspect.
Okay, but can't they all see the schedule on the wall that says there's some games there? You got to wait for them here, but there are some very, very winnable games where these guys can make a name for themselves.
Well, yes, I think some guys can see that, and I think some guys see light at the end of the tunnel. I think that David Njoku is one player who thinks that with Austin Hooper as the starting tight end, and then Harrison Bryant, gaining some ground and, really getting some more reps, that it's probably better for him if he can find somewhere to go. Now, yes, it would be hard for him to crack a starting lineup unless somebody has an injury and they need a starting tight end.
Right.
In that situation, he'd get plenty of playing time.
All right, so are you more impressed or more worried about the Browns' defense than the way they've been playing the last couple of games?
Well, there are plenty of things to worry about with the Browns defense. And I think Joe Burrow, once again, he will provide a test for these guys. He's doing a really nice job in the passing game for the most part, and except for when he played the Ravens a couple weeks ago. But I think the two best things right now about the defense are Myles Garrett and the defensive line, and then their ability to take the ball away. They have 12 takeaways. The Browns have gotten 42 points, I think it is, off of those takeaways, which is about 26% of their point production. That's quite a bit.
It is.
Again, that 12 is number one in the NFL.
And they didn't get any last week.
Yeah, I mean, you can't live and die by the takeaway. You just can't, because when you play better teams, you're not going to get them. It's going to be hard to get them. And the other thing is, teams are really going to try now to shut down Myles Garrett, not let him take over games and not let him make those game-changing plays. I mean, I think the Bengals, if they can, will try to do a better job of blocking Myles than they did in the last game. We remember he had that crucial strip sack that kind of changed the complexion of the game for them and was the difference in the game, really. So teams are going to try to shut that down, and if they can do that, then that kind of takes away from the takeaway.
Okay, we've seen enough of the league, I think, to get a pretty good idea who's really going to be good, who's going to not be so good, and so on. Is there a team that is lurking in the woods, ready to come out and be good? And is there somebody who's faked their way through it and might be exposed sometime soon?
You know what? I mean, it really seems like the Titans are really a team to watch, and the Browns have got to play them. They're 5-0 right now. They seem to be very legit. Now, it's going to be a tough road for them without their starting left tackle. So I think that's going to be very difficult for them. As far as other teams coming on strong, it's hard to say. I mean, I think we know what the AFC North is all about. It's going to be a dogfight all the way to the end, I think mostly between Baltimore and Pittsburgh for the AFC North, and then the Browns trying to grab one of those wild card spots. I think for the most part, I mean, there are a lot of injuries that are hurting teams. I'm surprised that the Eagles are so bad this year, but they have some injuries that have hurt them. That's one team that I keep thinking that they're going to wake up and do something. And so
just in time to play the Browns.
Yeah, hopefully for the Browns' sake, it's not that week.
Yeah.
But the Jaguars are falling off the map a little bit. They're losing, so that game should be even a little easier than it may have been.
Is Brady surprising you? Tom Brady?
Pardon me?
Is Tom Brady surprising you?
No, I think that's going about the way that we thought it would. I think it's nice to see, like, an Aaron Rodgers. He'd have had a bad game this week, but it's nice to see him having a nice season. I like it when the good quarterbacks play really well, because that is so good for the NFL.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. If you want to shout, "Hey, Mary Kay," you can do that. Right now at Smiley One, they are making it very easy to invest in a new heating or cooling comfort system without breaking your budget. For a limited time, take advantage of the special financing, 36 months on select Bryant high-efficiency equipment, and make it easy for your family to stay comfortable all year long. Smiley One is the place to call for more details. We'll come back in a moment. Mary Kay Cabot is with us, covering the Browns for so long for cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer does a fantastic job, as she does right here. More Sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site, You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history, October 20th, 2004. The Red Sox defeat the Yankees 4-3 in the ALCS, becoming the only team that in Major League Baseball history to overcome a 3-0 lead, or 3-0 deficit rather. It was Roberts making the steal, second base under Terry Francona, and Davey Roberts, that is. And now he's managing the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Red Sox went on to win their first World Series since 1918. That series starts tonight. Birthdays for today, the Mickey Mantle, born on this date. Juan Marichal, 3 Juans in a row, once in a while, and Juan Gonzalez. Jamie Collins, former Browns player, and Rodney Hood, celebrating birthdays on the 20th of October. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. Mary Kay, let's turn our attention to the Cincinnati Bengals, and let's see what's going on with them. And when you think of Cincinnati now, you think of their number 1 pick, the Heisman Trophy winner, Joe Burrow. What do you think of him so far?
You know what? I think he's doing a really nice job. I like his attitude. I like his aggressiveness. I like his moxie. I think he's coming off of a 300-yard game. And, he had those guys kind of rolling along against the Colts until the defense sort of just let them down. But, they were almost in position to win a game there. And I think he can be special. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes over the next few years. If they start protecting him, which they need to do, you have to protect a young quarterback. They're not able to do that this year, but you have to invest in offensive linemen. And then you have to make sure he's got skill players. They have a good running back. They have some good receivers, but then you've got to get him protected, and you have to support him with a good defense. I've had many quarterbacks tell me that a quarterback's best friend is a really good defense. So they've got to keep adding to that and that line.
Yeah, and he's only thrown 6 interceptions, which is pretty incredible at this stage of the game. Let's continue on looking at the Bengals, see what they've got. You mentioned the running back, Joe Mixon is the guy, and he's a tough character to bring down. What's the word on him throughout the league?
He's a good running back. He's tough to bring down, and he loves to try to beat the Browns. He's got a lot of confidence that they can beat the Browns, and he was a reason why they did so last year in that second game. And he's somebody that I think he's a fireball of energy for them. And this defense is gonna have to be on point. I mean, the Colts have a really good defense, and they put 21 points up on them by the second quarter. So these guys can start to score if they can get rolling.
Right.
So yeah, I think there are things to be concerned about. I right now my first instinct is that I'm going to pick the Browns to win this game, because it's the Bengals. But I think they're going to make it really tough on the Browns.
Just what we need at this point in the season.
Well, that's football. I think they have some other games coming up that I wouldn't say that about. The Jets, the Giants, the Jaguars, some other teams like that. But this one, just sort of seeing what they did last week against the Colts and how motivated they're going to be, because this is an AFC North game and they're going to be at home. I think they're going to give the Browns a fight.
Let's go back to this, and I didn't give you any time to look this up, but just as a first reaction, the draft pick, when Baker was taken number 1 and you had other potential draft picks, how do you re-rank them? There was 5 of them. Can you re-rank them?
Well, obviously, you've got Lamar that kind of went to the head of the class.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have to put Josh Allen right after him. And then
Josh Rosen's in that group.
Yeah, Josh goes last. And then you would go, then I think you go Baker, then you go Sam Darnold, then you go Josh Rosen. That's how I would.
That's what most people would pick, I would think. You mentioned the Bengals defense and how they can come and go. What's your overall assessment of them?
They're in a little bit of a state of flux. I mean, some of the guys that we have known for all these years that, you know about the Carlos Dunlaps and the Geno Atkins and those kind of guys, they're kind of being phased out a little bit. And you've got some newer, younger guys in there that we just don't know all that well. Now, I don't know if it will hold up that way, but those 2 guys have been more third down specialists. They were in the last game, and there's some word that they're a little bit disgruntled about that. So we'll have to see how that goes. But again, this is a defense that you can score on, that you can make some yards on, that Baker should be able to complete some passes on, that Odell should be able to have a decent game against, and hopefully for their sake they can get themselves back on track.
Stefanski seemed pretty sure that Baker would be okay. He felt better yesterday when he got up. Any new word on him, or will that come again tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it'll come tomorrow. Not a bunch of news on that front today, but the fact that he's a week out from the rib injury, I think that's a good sign for him. And for Kevin Stefanski to say that he felt better this Monday than he did the Monday before, that's huge. He said he'll do more in practice this week, and I think that's significant. And as long as nobody has positive COVID tests this week and everybody feels good, Jarvis should be in there, and Odell should be in there practicing, and Baker. So I think they'll be better.
216-575-0403. If you want to talk to Mary Kay, you can do that tomorrow night. Dennis Maniloff, the D-Man, will be here on Thursday night. Anthony Lima from 92.3 The Fan will be joining us. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations in addition to the website. Check them out and save money. NortheastFactoryDirect.com. Back in a moment. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. Add more livable space, inhibit the growth of mold and mildew, and improve air quality for your family. It's the healthier, more beautiful basement floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your basement floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Time for How Come Quickie. How come when the Mick retired in 1968, the Yankees were dismantled? Any idea, Mary Kay?
I can't answer that one.
You can't answer that?
I like it, though.
You like it, though. Well, that's good. When the Babe retired from the Yankees, they were ruthless. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Time for our Facebook question of the day. How confident are you with Baker Mayfield as the Browns franchise quarterback? Chris Art, a little harsh today, says, I think what we see is what we get. I don't see him taking his game or his team to the next level. If you want to leave us a message when we're not on the air, you can do that. The voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Let's go down to Florida, and we'll say hi to Mike. Mike, go ahead. You're on with Mary Kay Cabot. Mike, go ahead.
You do a great job. Yeah, I'm here. Hey, Mary Kay, you do a great job. Question about Baker is when you take a look at his measurables, you cannot survive in the NFL, I don't think, unless you can step up in the pocket and make the pass over the middle. He does not have the speed of Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Murray from Arizona to really escape and use his legs as a weapon. The reality of it is, if he keeps on turning the ball over, what you're going to have to go to Keenan, and I hate to even think about that, but you're going to have to. They're going to have to make a change because Beckham, Landry, Cooper, Chubb. I mean, it's just incredible weapons that surround this team. And if the quarterback's starting to self-destruct, you got to pull the plug to save this season. What's your take and what's your thoughts on that?
Mike, thank you for the call. There's some
all,
other
Mike,
elements involved, like franchising quarterbacks and doing whatever you have to, the money that's owed and is out already. So it's not as simple as Mike's making it seem.
Well, he makes some great points, and thank you for the nice comments, Mike. I really, really appreciate that, and I agree with you pretty much on absolutely everything that you said. You have to be able to stand in the pocket and deliver the football, and that is one thing that Baker Mayfield has struggled to do. Once you get him out and he can see because of his height, once you get him outside and on the move, that's when, outside the hashes, that's when he performs better. But teams, of course, have identified that. And, if they're really paying attention and they're game planning correctly, they're going to try to hem him in and make him try to throw from the pocket and prove that he can do that. But if you can pressure him, if you can get in his face and pressure him and then disguise your coverages and make him stay in that pocket, he struggles that way. And he's also going to have a hard time coming back from behind and passing his way back into a football game because of that. So, I do think that these guys are going to get frustrated. I think they're already frustrated. I think Odell, Jarvis, I think they're all doing the right thing. They're all so team oriented. They're trying to just bite their lip and do the best they can because they've been winning. And I think they're going to win more. So that'll quiet things down. But you're right. You're exactly right about everything you said, Mike.
The best part of that phone call is he was very complimentary to you, and you said, I agree with everything he said.
Especially that part.
That's what I meant. That was the only part I heard. Think back in time here a couple of years when you saw Baker at the, I don't know if you saw him beat Ohio State, but when you saw him at the Combine and followed him and all the films and everything, to me, his arm is stronger than I thought it would be. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, yeah.
Not as accurate, but it's stronger.
And he was accurate, too. But when he gets pressured, that's when, and he can't see the field, that's when that accuracy kind of wanes and it sort of goes away. But yes, I was always struck by his arm strength and his accuracy, but he's kind of has to be out on the perimeter to be able to see what's going on to make that accuracy happen. And teams are trying to take that away from him. But one of the things that I did notice when I watched his college film, and I watched plenty of it, was that he was never touched. He was like, I told somebody today, it was like he was existing in the NBA bubble, back there. I mean, he just like had nobody around him. He never got hit. He had all the space that he needed. He could see the field and those kinds of things. And now, it's a little bit more crowded up here. And if you have to operate within the pocket, that's where he's struggling.
Do you think, and again, he's trying to impress 3 different coaches in the last 3 years. Do you think some of that has kept his brashness up or down, depending on what's going on, and has affected the way he plays the game?
Well, definitely. When you have to change systems and you have to do all that kind of thing and learn new terminology and learn new footwork and all of those sorts of things, it's definitely going to impact your game. But they handed him a lot of different things on a silver platter this year. They gave him a great offensive line. How many quarterbacks in the NFL would like to have an offensive line like that? Skill players. Who else would want to have Odell and Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? It's a pretty good environment for him to work, and he should be flourishing. It's a very quarterback-friendly offense, so it's designed to minimize mistakes and have good, really, really good numbers. So
if you're going to be a good team in the NFL, your quarterback should not be your weak spot.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a break. We're coming back one more time with Mary Kay Cabot. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively right here, where we are powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff from 1100 WTAM is with us. And Thursday night, Anthony Lima, 92.3 The Fan, who does the mornings from 6 to 10 with Ken Carmen, the hardest working man in show business. Paul writes in via email, looking at the team's stats for the game, talking about Sunday, they weren't as lopsided as the score. Tomlin used last year's trouble with Myles Garrett as motivation, and they were more aggressive. You agree with that, Mary Kay?
Oh yeah, definitely. They were really motivated. They wanted this game, but I just think that's just because they're a well-coached team and they're at home and they had Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know necessarily if it was because of what happened last year. I'm sure there was still a little bit of lingering hangover from some of that. Some of it could be, from Myles Garrett saying during the week, I think we can beat Ben Roethlisberger. There are a lot of factors that go into this.
All right, we're going to send this email to the Browns in Berea so they can put it in their Hall of Fame. It's the first email that I've gotten that is critical of Kevin Stefanski. So we're going to ship that off to the Hall of Fame. This is Joseph, am I the only one ticked off that against another Browns organization had their butts kicked by the Steelers and the Ravens? I have overall been impressed by Stefanski, however. Earlier the week, though, he was asked about the rivalry and he played it down and he said it's just another week. sorry, Kevin, but you're in Cleveland, Ohio now, and this is yet to be another humiliation for the Browns fans to endure. Shame on you, Kevin. You just don't get it. Wow, that's pretty harsh words for a guy
That's
who's
very
4-2. For a guy who's 4-2 in his first 6 games.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
yeah,
still Hall of
that's
Fame
very
material.
hard. He gets it. Kevin Stefanski gets it. He knows about the rivalry. He's just not an inflammatory quote kind of guy. He is pretty vanilla when it comes to the quotes. He's learned very quickly to kind of just not say too much about anything. If you guys notice, you hear his answers to our questions. I mean, they're pretty run of the mill. Most of our best coach answers come from the defensive coordinators and Stump Mitchell and the wide receivers coach and all those guys give us some pretty colorful stuff. Kevin kind of plays it cool.
I do have a suggestion for Kevin, though. At one point, especially in a franchise that has a history of not being stable in the front office as far as keeping guys around too long, this is about the 3rd time he's already said, well, I'll take the blame for that. It's on me. At one point, if you keep doing that, eventually they will blame it on you. So I think you ought to find somebody else to help get the blame a little bit.
You know what? Yeah, you just do not want to be taking too much of the blame around this town.
No, because
I agree with you on that.
You may be taking blame for something that's not your fault, so why waste that one? You only have a certain amount of good ones you can use up here. It's like Monopoly.
Exactly.
It's like Scrabble letters. So, all right, what do you think happens this week? You said you're leaning toward the Browns winning the game. What do you think? What kind of game can we expect?
I think Baker's going to rebound against this defense. I think he's going to have a better game. I think Kareem Hunt is going to be able to run on this defense some. I do think that the Bengals are going to be very, very motivated to win this game. But I think in the end, the Browns do have more talent. I think, they'll probably try to pressure Burrow into at least one interception and maybe get another takeaway somehow. But I think they'll be okay this game.
Can they do something other than just catch a special teams ball and gain 3 yards? Can they do something about that? They haven't had any significant special teams play in forever.
No, I mean they're struggling on special teams this year. It is kind of weird. I mean, the 101 kickoff return, and they have had their issues on special teams, and that's one area where they can really improve over the next 10 games. And I'm sure that Mike Prefer is really all over them about that.
Right. All right. So I'm going to say this, and you get to agree or disagree with it. You're terrific on this show.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
That's because it's easy. That's why. Don't ever. By
that
the
one
way,
was easy.
don't ever let people know how easy this stuff is to do. Make them think it's really tough.
Okay, I will. You make it easy.
Well,
fortunately.
I agree with that. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Tuesday night after a win
Sounds
over.
good.
Oh, what's the score in that game? How many points?
20. They'll be in the 20s, like 27-17, something like that.
Okay, very good. All right, that's against Cincinnati on Sunday. All right, that'll do it for us. Dennis Maniloff tomorrow night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.